Today, I'm going to discuss the term workaholism, its origin, its emotional and health effects, and how it looks in contrast to high performance. And lastly, I'm going to offer my recommendations on how you can stop being a workaholic and start transitioning towards being a high performer. Listen up. I got something to say. Listen up. I got something to say. Peter Piper picked the pepper, and I drop rhymes, and I'ma talk that shit, cause I back mine. So don't sleep, listen up, I got something to say. Rise up, live life, and keep the haters at bay.
Hey.
But I'ma talk that shit.
Hey.
But I'ma talk that shit.
Hey.
But I'ma talk that shit. For the benefit of those that may not know, a workaholic is someone who's addicted to working. A total compulsive person, which is a classic workaholic that's wildly ambitious, for one, utterly obsessed with working or doing work in their career. Did you know the term workaholism began in the beginning of the 20th century by a guy named Frederick Taylor in 1865? That's right, in Philadelphia, he created a new work system, and he was called the father of scientific management. His new theory of work management was known as Taylorism. Just to give you a short description, according to Joanne Greco, the journalist of the Journal of Business Strategy, she stated that Taylorism is a sort of ruthless quasi-Victorian efficiency that melds man with machine, often to man's disadvantage. According to Taylor's theory of work, a worker is nothing but a tool to gain profit. But workaholism was just the concept derived out of fear. You know, even though you had highly skilled, highly qualified people willing to put in those hours, there was no loyalty to the workplace because of the inclusion of machines. Just like now, when you look at the technology today, when you look at the revolution that we're experiencing with the information age, you're starting to see a decline in the actual workforce because now they have systems integrated into the workforce. When you go check out a Walmart, you see one cashier operating 5 self-checkout areas. You know what I'm saying? You see people fighting for 15, but now McDonald's have machines where you could take your order, and you just have a cashier to check out to ensure that everything is, you know, they're more or less cashier/customer support. So this same thing already happened at the turn of the 20th century during the Industrial Revolution. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is called Taylorism.
Nice.
First things first, is being a workaholic a good or bad thing? Just on the surface, I would say that working too hard can lead to serious problems in life. On one side, being a workaholic can lead to career achievement and in some cases, career advancement. I mean, most people work because there's some carrot that they're trying to achieve at the end of that string, whether it's premium pay, whether it's a promotion or the promise of a promotion, or maybe they're trying to avoid something. And that's one of the things that we're going to look at today is the underlying issues, the undertones of workaholism and how much that plays into the concept of addiction, just as alcoholism and any other type of addiction that one can experience in life. Let's look at health. Stress, loss of sleep, no time for exercise. These are the 3 underlying factors that can affect your day-to-day based on prioritizing your work over everything else. I've been through this shit myself. But seriously, let's look at stress. Think about the adverse effect. You're pumping out them hours. You're grinding. You're doing everything that you have to do in the workplace on a day-to-day, right? But you're away from home. You're away from your kids. You're away from your wife, your husband. Seriously, man. When you're in a stressful situation, your body launches a physical response. That's when your body releases those fight or flight hormones. You may recognize these stressors as an increase in heartbeat. Your heart might start beating faster. You might start breathing faster. You ever be in a stressful environment and your muscles get tense? Or you start to sweat? All these are different kinds of short-term stressors. Well, in medical terminology, they call them acute. And your body typically recovers from it. But man, I'm telling you, if you continue to overwork your fucking body and your mind and your whole physicality, and you keep on undergoing this type of stress for a long period, you risk a chance of developing chronic stress. And that could lead to like a lot of aggravating and more serious health problems. I mean, anybody that you ever seen that like, how many people that you know that you've seen that had chronic headaches or migraines, or that was always tired? You know, they're always lethargic because they always talking about how they're not getting enough sleep or they can't concentrate. You know, they got irritable bowel syndrome or an upset stomach. They're depressed, high blood pressure. All that shit is the culmination of chronic stress. I guarantee if they looked at their life for what it was and removed certain elements that was contributing factors to that stress, they'll start to feel a lot better. They'll start to recover. They'll start to get to a place of zen where they can start focusing more and doing more and being more fulfilled in life. The second thing I mentioned was, loss of sleep deprivation. A lot of people don't know, but if you deprive your body of sleep, you can't properly heal. Your body, it prohibits your immune system. One of the things that sleep deprivation definitely contributes to, many people don't know, is a low sex drive. And the last one, man, no time for exercise. This is probably the most underrated aspect, what underrated dangers to your health from being a workaholic. When you're constantly working day in and day out, especially if you're in a sedentary environment, you have a high risk of diabetes, weight gain, heart disease. Now, if you're a workaholic and you're constantly counting them beans in your respective workplace, you stand to experience all these different aspects of physical health. That's just the risk is not the reward is just not worth the risk, basically. A workaholic values their job over everything else. Work becomes the top priority before friends and family. It also can be destructive at times. Now, when you look at a peak performer, that's somebody that works just as hard, but they know the balance between work and personal life. They enjoy their own leisure time with their family and friends.
Yes.
One of my favorite motivators has always been Zig Ziglar. Zig Ziglar, of course, was the mentor of another one of my favorites, which is Jim Rohn. So, and a host of others. Like, it's a lot of self-help gurus out there, but those two guys, man, when I didn't know a whole lot, they were the inspiration behind a lot of the moves that I made early on when I started having my awakening or my desire for success, if you will. But one of the things I like about Zig Ziglar, he states that, he believes that being successful means having a balance of successful stories across many areas of your life. You couldn't be considered successful in your business if your life was in shambles. Yo, if you don't find a way to make money work for you while you sleep, you'll work until you die. That was a quote from my man Warren Buffett. I guess it's cool if you really love the type of work that you do. But for me, there's no job, no work, no career that supersedes the love of being home with my wife and kids. You understand? But that's just me. However, those of you that desire financial freedom, but don't have the luxury of inheriting a great or grand relative's nest egg or trust fund, to you, I say, before you experience financial freedom, you got to experience financial relief.
Yes.
So go forth in your career pursuits with your eyes wide open. Basically, there's nothing wrong with working a job. Nothing. But if your desire is to create financial stability and freedom for yourself and your family, then you need to be working with your eyes wide open. Tony Schwartz, the founder and CEO of the Energy Project, which is ranked number 5 on Fortune's 500 of top consultant companies, he said that 40% of people consider themselves to be workaholics. Could you imagine 40% saying that they're alcoholics or drug addicts? A survey done by CVS indicated that 87% of the people put more into their jobs, more into working than their personal lives. Depending on the individual, that tells me one of two things. Wow, this person is really passionate about the type of work that they're doing. Or number two, this person is stupid as hell and has a severe compulsive obsessive disorder that's unchecked. Listen, addiction is addiction, and it takes an insidious toll, especially since every single human being are multidimensional and genetically hardwired for interpersonal relationships. Just the thought of blowing off your family, your relationships, your spouse, your children, or whatever it is that gives you pleasure, that sets off those pleasure sensors. When you sacrifice time with those individuals to work a job, God damn it, get some control on your budget.
Yes.
Find ways to increase more money by reducing your expenditures and your accounts payable. When it comes to my philosophy, I want to make 3 points clear for you guys. Number 1, high performance, they know their value, whereas workaholics allow other people to determine their value. Number 2, high performers give 100% at the right time, which is a major key when it comes to being productive. Workaholics, they try to give 110% all the time, which leads to burnout, stress, weight gain, etc. And number 3, high performers, they do business, whereas workaholics get busy or are busy. You ever meet somebody that's always busy? But when you look at their lifestyle or their health or other telltales, and you don't really see the manifestation of that busy mantra that they're always chanting. What's crazy is that many people think that by working more hours, they're somehow more productive, but they're really not. What actually leads to more productivity is having more energy when you're actually working and regularly allowing opportunities to refuel your energy while moving rhythmatically between spending energy and recovering from energy, which leads to more productivity. It also leads to better health and produces a higher quality of the product that you're actually producing in terms of the work that you do. Another philosophy of mine, which is also going to serve as a segue to recommendations, is that I never want to give critical feedback or observations without giving some tips or some recommendations on how to improve on whatever that I'm observing or giving criticism on. So with that being said, my recommendations are as follow, which actually, let me backtrack. My recommendations for high performance is as follow. Number 1, I would suggest taking 15 to 20 minutes at the beginning of your workday, whether you're an entrepreneur or you are an employee. Take 15 to 30 minutes a day at the beginning of each day to write down your POD. For you guys that don't know, a POD is a plan of the day. I think that if you don't have a plan of the day written down, then it's not a plan. I really believe that. It's fairy dust. And fairy dust is make-believe. So you have an illusion of a plan if you don't have a plan written down, or if you claim you have a plan but it's not written down. So that's my recommendation, my number 1 recommendation, taking 15 to 30 minutes at the beginning of your workday to write down an actual plan of attack. It keeps you focused, okay? You want your focus to be completely intact. You want it to be 2020. You want to go through your day in beast mode, period. Number 2, my second recommendation is, see what I did there? But number 2, my second recommendation is if you're going hard, I recommend that you do so in 90-minute intervals. To be honest, nobody actually work a complete 8 hours a day. But if you want to maximize your productivity in any environment and set yourself apart from your competition or from your peers, you blitz for 90 minutes straight. And you do this for about 4.5 hours a day. My third recommendation is that you put the highest priority on the most difficult task, and then you save the most cumbersome task for last. That way, you create an uphill battle that's always going to keep you focused, that's going to reinforce the focus that you have, and you're going to be oriented because you have your plan written down. And just stick to the plan, and you will boss up for the day. Ladies and gentlemen, that's how you become a high performer. That's how you define a hard worker without being a workaholic.
Nice.
So this is the first closing that I'm actually going to do for the series of podcasts that I'm creating. And I want y'all to bear with me because I work really hard with trying to figure out a way to say something deep, but relevant. So let's try it out. Here's my closer. My closer to you, to my podcast fam. I want to say the heart of any champion is defined by their resilience during adversity. But resilience is about how you recharge and not about how you endure. I actually got that second part from Sean Aker. I'm a big fan of Sean Aker. He created this whole concept, the science of happy, which you can check out his TED Talks. Just Google or go to YouTube and type in The Science of Happy by Sean Aker. But yeah, the first part is mine. The heart of any champion is defined by their resilience during adversity. But it's important to remember that resilience is about how you recharge and not about how you endure. And the last thing I want to leave y'all with is that remember, never let your personal success go to your head and never let your failures get to your heart. And with that said, good night.